You ever get that feeling? You know, you buy a brand new phone, a new laptop, and it just doesn't feel all that much faster than the one from a few years ago. Well, it turns out you're not imagining things. There's this invisible wall deep inside our technology that's been there for 50 years, and it's starting to slow everything down. To really get what's going on, we have to look at a part of your computer you probably never think about. It's memory.
I mean, we're all used to technology getting just, exponentially better, right? Our processors get faster, our storage gets bigger and faster. But what about the RAM? The memory that all that data has to flow through? It really feels like it's hit a speed bump. And it's not just a feeling, it's a fact.
Just look at the data. It tells the whole story. Between 1970 and 2000, the speed of our memory, we're talking its latency here, was improving by about 2.5% every single year. But after 2000, wow, that rate of improvement just plummeted to less than 1%. That is a massive, massive slowdown. And it's a huge reason why your new computer sometimes feels like it's stuck in first gear. Okay, so what is actually going on here? To get to the bottom of this slowdown, we've got to talk about the tech at the heart of it all, DRAM. So DRAM, that's dynamic random access memory, was invented way back in 1968. And for 30 years, it was in a total golden age. It got faster, it got denser. I mean, the pace was just incredible. But then right around the turn of the millennium, everything changed. We entered what we can now call the slowdown era. The big question is, why? Well, the answer is kind of wild. It lies in this hidden division, this split right down the middle of the tech industry. It's like a wall that separates the companies that make the memory from the companies that use it. The official term for it is separation of concerns, but you can think of it like a gentleman's agreement. The DRAM producers, companies like Samsung or Micron, they focus on one thing and one thing only, making tons of standardized memory chips. And the DRAM consumers, Apple, Dell, all the big names, they focus on putting those standard chips into their systems. They each stay on their own side of the wall. You stay in your lane, I'll stay in mine. Here's an analogy. Imagine the DRAM producers are like a factory that makes millions of identical, really high-quality car engines. And the DRAM consumers, they're like a Formula One racing team. They get that standard engine, but to squeeze out every last bit of world record performance, they need to know its exact limits, its quirks. All the stuff that definitely does not come in the standard user manual. And hey, for half a century, this system worked brilliantly. It let the producers protect their trade secrets and just scale up like crazy, while the consumers got a super reliable, predictable part to design their products with. This separation is honestly what fueled all that incredible progress we saw back in the Golden Age. But, and this is the big twist, the very same system that gave us 50 years of success is now the single biggest thing holding us back. That wall, the one that was built to keep things stable, is now the source of some really serious problems. And we're not talking about theoretical issues here. We are seeing real, tangible symptoms that are not only slowing our computers down, but are actually making them less secure. So the first and most obvious symptom is the one we started with. Performance has just hit a wall. Progress has slowed to an absolute crawl. The rate of improvement in memory speed didn't just slow down a little bit. It fell off a cliff. We're talking a drop of nearly 70%. This is a direct result of that producer-consumer wall because it's preventing the kind of deep, clever optimizations we need to go faster. But it gets worse. I mean, slower performance is one thing, but this total lack of communication is also opening up some really dangerous security holes. One of the scariest ones is a vulnerability called rowhammer. See, as producers try to cram more and more memory cells closer and closer together, a weird physical problem has popped up. If you access one row of memory over and over again really fast, literally hammering it, the electrical interference can actually cause bits to flip in a nearby row, corrupting its data. This isn't a software bug, it's a physical flaw that hackers can actually exploit. So, okay, we've got two huge problems, stagnating speed and these dangerous security flaws, and they both seem to come from this wall. But what's the root cause? What's the one thing that connects them both? Well, some researchers from ETH Zurich and TU Delft absolutely nailed it. They said, the single most important barrier is the consumer's lack of insight into DRAM reliability. It's a lack of insight. Because of that wall, the consumers, the people designing our phones and laptops, they just don't have enough information about how the memory really works and how it behaves under stress.
They are literally flying blind. They get this black box, a set of standard rules, and that's it. They don't have that deeper data about reliability that they need to safely push performance or to build solid defenses against attacks like Rowhammer. And that is the connection. Think about it. How can you solve the latency problem if you don't know the specific timing quirks of a chip that might let you access it faster? You can't. How can you defend against Rowhammer if you don't even know how vulnerable a particular chip is? That information is a trade secret. The system designers are trying to solve these incredibly complex problems with one hand tied behind their back. Now, the good news is, the same researchers who pinpointed this problem also came up with a really clear, practical solution. It's not about tearing down the wall completely. It's more about, strategically opening a few windows in it.
They've proposed this really elegant two-step plan. Step 1 is for the short term. Consumers and researchers can just start testing the chips we have now and share all that data in a big public database. Producers could also voluntarily release some basic reliability info. Step 2 is the long game. The official industry standards themselves need to be updated to require this kind of information sharing from now on.
And this is so important. The goal here isn't to force manufacturers to give away their secret sauce. No way. It's all about creating what they call a limited information transparency. It's about sharing just enough data, just enough about reliability and behavior, so that those system designers can finally stop flying blind and actually start innovating again. So, what does this all mean for the future of the devices in our pockets and on our desks? Well, it really suggests a pretty fundamental shift in how the entire industry needs to work. The big takeaway, the lesson here, is that the era of just keeping everyone in their own silo is over. If we want to overcome today's really complex challenges, everything from performance to security, we need a new era of cooperation. The producers and the consumers have to start talking to each other, and they can do that through shared data. And this all brings us to one last thought. This wall between the people who make something and the people who use it, it exists in the world of computer memory, but it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Where else in technology might these old agreements and invisible walls be silently holding all of us back?